Tyrannosaurus Rex. Tyrannosaurus Rex was the apex predator of late Cretaceous North America. 13 meters long, 6 tons heavy, and armed with teeth the size of bananas that could crush bone. Not slice, crush. T-Rex had the strongest bite force of any land animal ever measured, estimated at 12,800 pounds. For comparison, a saltwater crocodile generates 3,700. Modern analysis suggests adult T-Rex was covered in scales, not feathers, despite what you've heard about feathered dinosaurs. Juveniles may have had some feathery covering that was lost with age. Its tiny arms weren't useless either. They could curl 400 pounds each and may have helped it rise from a resting position. The real question is whether it was a hunter or scavenger. Evidence supports both. Its forward-facing eyes provided excellent depth perception for tracking prey, but its massive size meant it couldn't run much faster than 20 kilometers per hour. T-Rex probably did both, hunted when possible, scavenged when convenient. It dominated its ecosystem for 2 million years until the asteroid ended everything 66 million years ago. The king of the dinosaurs earned that title. Velociraptor. Forget everything Jurassic Park taught you. Real velociraptors were the size of turkeys, roughly 50 centimeters tall and 15 kilograms. The terrifying 6-foot hunters from the movies were actually based on Deinonychus, a larger relative. Spielberg just liked the name Velociraptor better. Real velociraptors lived in Mongolia around 75 million years ago and were covered in feathers. We know this from quill knobs preserved on their fossilized arm bones, the same attachment points modern birds use for their flight feathers. They had a sickle-shaped claw on each foot for slashing prey, not pinning it down like the films suggest. Were they pack hunters? Probably not. The famous Fighting Dinosaurs fossil shows a velociraptor locked in combat with a Protoceratops, alone. No pack in sight. They were intelligent for dinosaurs, with brain-to-body ratios higher than most reptiles of their era. But they weren't opening doors or coordinating military-style assaults. Turkey-sized, feathered, and likely solitary. Still dangerous to small prey. Just not what Hollywood sold you. Triceratops. Triceratops had a skull that measured up to 2.5 meters long. 1/3 of its entire body length was head. Those 3 horns, 2 above the eyes reaching a meter each, and 1 smaller horn on the nose, weren't just for show. Fossil evidence shows healed puncture wounds on Triceratops' frills and horns. They fought each other, probably for mates or territory, like modern deer and elk. The giant frill protected their neck from predators, specifically T-Rex. Both lived in the same time and place, and we found Triceratops bones with T-Rex tooth marks. The relationship was simple. T-Rex hunted them. Triceratops fought back. An adult Triceratops weighed around 9 tons and could charge at 35 kilometers per hour. A direct hit from those horns would impale almost anything. They were herbivores, using their beaked mouths to shear tough vegetation. Triceratops was one of the last non-avian dinosaurs to exist, living right up until the extinction event. The 3-horned face that defined the Cretaceous. Stegosaurus. Stegosaurus had a brain the size of a walnut, roughly 80 grams in an animal weighing 5 tons. For decades, scientists thought it had a second brain in its hip to control its back half. That's a myth. It was just an enlarged nerve cluster common in many animals. The plates along its back weren't armor. They were too thin and fragile for protection. Current theory suggests they regulated body temperature, flushing with blood to release heat, or served as display structures for attracting mates. The real weapon was the tail. 4 spikes, each up to a meter long, arranged in a formation paleontologists call the phagomizer. That name comes from a Far Side comic. Scientists adopted it because there was no existing term. Fossil evidence shows those spikes punctured Allosaurus bones. Stegosaurus lived 150 million years ago in the late Jurassic, meaning it went extinct 80 million years before T-Rex even existed. They never met. Despite its tiny brain, Stegosaurus survived for millions of years. Intelligence isn't everything. Brontosaurus. Brontosaurus didn't exist for over a century. In 1903, scientists decided it was actually an Apatosaurus specimen, and the name was retired. Then in 2015, detailed bone analysis resurrected it. Brontosaurus is back as a separate genus. Both were sauropods, the long-necked giants that dominated the Jurassic period. Adults reached 22 meters long and weighed around 17 tons. Their necks contained 15 vertebrae and couldn't actually lift very high above their shoulders. They fed on low to medium vegetation, sweeping side to side like living vacuum cleaners covering massive areas. They swallowed stones called gastroliths to help grind plant matter in their stomachs, similar to modern birds. Brontosaurus laid eggs and likely didn't care for young after hatching. Babies were on their own immediately, vulnerable to predators. The sheer size of adults provided protection. Nothing could take down a healthy 17-ton animal without serious risk. They traveled in herds, and fossilized trackways show they kept young in the center for safety, moving mountains of muscle that shaped Jurassic ecosystems wherever they walked. Ankylosaurus. Ankylosaurus was a walking fortress, 4 meters wide, covered head to tail in bony plates called osteoderms fused directly into its skin. Even its eyelids were armored. Predators faced a nearly impenetrable shell, backed by a weapon that could shatter bone. The tail club weighed roughly 30 kilograms of solid bone and could swing with enough force to break a T-Rex's ankle. That wasn't speculation. It was survival strategy. A crippled predator was a dead predator. Ankylosaurus couldn't run. It topped out around 10 kilometers per hour, so it evolved to stand and fight. Low to the ground, protected on all sides, with a sledgehammer for a tail. Flipping one over was the only real option for predators, exposing the unarmored belly. But getting close enough to attempt that flip meant getting within club range. Ankylosaurus lived alongside T-Rex in late Cretaceous North America, and clearly survived long enough to prove the strategy worked. Nature's answer to being slow: become indestructible. Spinosaurus. Spinosaurus was larger than T-Rex, up to 15 meters long, with a skull shaped like a crocodile's and a sail on its back reaching nearly 2 meters tall. For decades, scientists reconstructed it as a typical two-legged predator that happened to eat fish. Then, new fossils changed everything. Spinosaurus had dense bones with no marrow cavity, similar to penguins and hippos. Its feet were flat and possibly webbed. Its tail was tall and paddle-shaped, perfect for propulsion through water. This wasn't a land predator at all. It was semi-aquatic, spending significant time in rivers hunting fish like a 15-meter crocodile. The sail might have aided swimming or attracted mates. Its arms were proportionally larger than T-Rex's, useful for snagging slippery prey. Spinosaurus lived in North Africa around 95 million years ago, ruling river systems the way T-Rex ruled forests. They probably never met. Different continents, different times, different ecological niches. The biggest carnivorous dinosaur ever wasn't competing for the same prey. It was an entirely different kind of monster, the river hunter that rewrote dinosaur evolution. Pterodactyl. Pterodactyls weren't dinosaurs. They were pterosaurs, a completely separate group of flying reptiles that lived alongside dinosaurs. Same era, different branch of the family tree entirely. Pterodactyl isn't even a proper scientific name. It's a casual term covering multiple genera, most commonly Pterodactylus, which had a wingspan around 1 meter. Not exactly terrifying. The truly massive flyers like Quetzalcoatlus reached 11-meter wingspans, larger than small aircraft, standing as tall as giraffes when grounded. They didn't flap constantly like birds. Pterosaurs likely soared on thermals, similar to modern albatrosses, covering vast distances with minimal energy. Their bones were hollow and incredibly fragile, which is why complete fossils are rare. They were the first vertebrates to achieve powered flight, evolving wings 150 million years before birds existed. When the asteroid hit, pterosaurs went extinct alongside dinosaurs. They'd been declining for millions of years already, outcompeted by evolving bird species. Not dinosaurs. Not ancestors of birds. A parallel experiment in flight that dominated Mesozoic skies for 160 million years, then vanished completely. Mosasaurus and Plesiosaurus. Neither was a dinosaur. Dinosaurs were land animals, by definition. Mosasaurus and Plesiosaurus were marine reptiles from completely different lineages. Mosasaurus was essentially a 15-meter sea lizard with flippers, more closely related to modern monitor lizards and snakes than to any dinosaur. It ruled late Cretaceous oceans as the apex predator, appearing after earlier giant marine reptiles went extinct. Double-hinged jaws let it swallow prey whole. Nothing in the ocean was safe from a healthy adult. Plesiosaurus came earlier and had that distinctive long neck with a compact body and 4 paddle-like flippers. Despite a century of Loch Ness Monster comparisons, it went extinct 66 million years ago with everything else. Neither could come on land. Fully aquatic, fully committed to ocean life. Mosasaurus appeared in Jurassic World eating sharks, which was accurate in spirit, if not in scale. The real ones ate everything. Fish, sharks, smaller marine reptiles, probably each other. Rulers of ancient seas that existed parallel to dinosaur dominance on land. Separate kingdoms, separate extinctions, same asteroid. Allosaurus. Allosaurus was the T-Rex of the Jurassic, the dominant predator 150 million years ago, 80 million years before T-Rex even existed. Up to 12 meters long with a skull full of serrated teeth designed for slashing rather than crushing. It attacked differently than T-Rex would later. Allosaurus had weaker jaws but significantly faster bite speed, using its upper jaw like a hatchet to hack into prey and cause massive blood loss. It went after sauropods, the giant, long-necked dinosaurs that seemed too big for any single predator to hunt. Fossil sites show multiple Allosaurus specimens around single sauropod carcasses. Pack hunting or opportunistic group scavenging? Still unclear. But they definitely took down the biggest animals of their era together. Their arms were actually functional, with 3 clawed hands useful for gripping struggling prey. Unlike T-Rex's vestigial limbs, Allosaurus dominated Jurassic North America and Portugal, filling the large predator niche before continental drift shuffled everything around. The original king predator before the famous one. Everything T-Rex became famous for, Allosaurus did first. Giganotosaurus. Giganotosaurus rivaled T-Rex in size, but lived 8 million years earlier on a different continent, South America instead of North America. Around 13 meters long and 7 tons, with a skull nearly 2 meters long filled with 8-inch serrated teeth. But its bite force was significantly weaker than T-Rex. Different hunting strategy. Giganotosaurus was a slasher. It opened massive wounds and waited for blood loss to do the work. It hunted Argentinosaurus, one of the largest land animals ever, which suggests group hunting. No single predator could take down a 70-ton sauropod alone. Multiple Giganotosaurus working together is the only explanation that makes sense. Brain-to-body ratio was lower than T-Rex, suggesting less problem-solving ability but perfectly adequate instincts. It existed in a world of giants, hunting giants, reaching sizes that tested what land-based predators could achieve. When people ask what could beat a T-Rex, Giganotosaurus enters the conversation. Similar size, different weapons, different continent. 2 answers to the same evolutionary question. Dilophosaurus. Dilophosaurus didn't spit venom. It didn't have a frill. Jurassic Park invented both. The real animal was about 6 meters long with 2 distinctive crests on its skull that were too fragile for combat. Probably display structures for attracting mates or intimidating rivals. No venom glands have ever been found in any dinosaur fossil. The movie needed a creative way to make a smaller dinosaur dangerous for a single scene, so they added fiction. Real Dilophosaurus lived 193 million years ago in early Jurassic Arizona, making it one of the earliest large predatory dinosaurs in North America. Its teeth were unusual, narrow and closely spaced, suggesting a fish-based diet or scavenging rather than active hunting of large prey. It had a kink in its upper jaw, creating a notch between front and back teeth, possibly for gripping slippery prey. Not venomous, not frilled, not small. A legitimate predator that didn't need Hollywood embellishments to be interesting. The movie version was pure imagination wearing a real name.